Imagine waking up to the roar of bulldozers ripping through your family's century-old woods, only to find your smug neighbor's HOA claiming it's theirs for a luxury pool, built on fraud and spite. That's the nightmare that hit Jack Harlan like a freight train one crisp autumn morning in suburban Virginia. But this wasn't just a property grab. It was the start of a war where the underdog turned the tables in the most deliciously ironic way imaginable. Jack Harlan had always been the quiet type, the kind of guy who minded his own business in a world full of busybodies. His modest ranch house sat on 5 acres of untamed land in Whispering Pines, a once rural pocket now swallowed by the creeping tendrils of McMansion suburbia. The neighborhood had transformed over the years into a gated enclave of identical beige homes, each with perfectly edged lawns and mailboxes approved by committee. Jack's place? It stuck out like a sore thumb or a defiant middle finger, depending on who you asked. No HOA for him. His deed predated the whole mess by generations. But rumors swirled anyway. Folks whispered he was some reclusive weirdo, maybe even a hoarder, because his yard wasn't mowed to golf course precision and his truck had a dent from Nom. Jack heard the gossip at the local diner, the sidelong glances from neighbors who'd wave but never stop to chat. He shrugged it off. Let 'em talk, he'd mutter to his old hound, Max, as they wandered the woods. Peace was his priority, not popularity. Enter Gloria Kensington, the self-appointed queen of the Whispering Pines HOA. Gloria was the epitome of suburban tyranny wrapped in a veneer of politeness, a middle-aged powerhouse with a bob haircut sharper than her tongue, always clad in pastel cardigans and pearls that screamed, "I'm reasonable, but don't test me." She chaired every meeting with a gavel that might as well have been a scepter, preaching about community standards and property values like they were gospel. Behind closed doors, though, she was a control freak terrified of losing her grip. One slip-up, one challenge to her authority, and she'd unleash a barrage of fines and passive-aggressive newsletters. "It's for the greater good," she'd say with that saccharine smile, all while manipulating votes to fund her pet projects. Gloria's mansion overlooked the whole neighborhood from its hilltop perch, a sprawling eyesore with columns that looked like they belonged on a discount Parthenon. She ruled with an iron fist in a velvet glove, but Jack, he was the thorn in her perfectly manicured side. The trouble started innocently enough, or so it seemed. Jack was sipping his black coffee on the porch when the ground shook. Not an earthquake, worse. Heavy machinery growled from the tree-line, chainsaws buzzing like angry hornets as trees toppled. He set down his mug, heart pounding, and trudged through the dew-soaked grass. There, just beyond his old survey marker, a rusted stake his grandpa had hammered in back in the 40s, bulldozers were gouging the earth. "What in the hell?" Jack muttered, spotting a crew in hard hats. A perky foreman with a tablet jogged over, grinning like he'd won the lottery. "Mornin', sir. We're breaking ground for the Whispering Pines Wellness Oasis pool. Bah, the works. Gonna boost everyone's home values sky high." Jack pointed at the stake, his voice steady but edged. "This here's my land. That marker's been there since before your boss was born." The foreman glanced down, scratched his head. "Ha! Our plats say different. HOA redrew the lines last year. Apex Surveys handled it, top-notch firm." "Apex? Never heard of him." Jack's gut twisted. He'd resurveyed his property 5 years back after a storm, everything squared away at the county office. This stank. "Show me the plans." "Sorry, but..." "Confidential. Talk to MS. Kensington at the HOA office." She's the visionary behind this beauty. The foreman waved him off, yelling at a driver to keep it straight. Jack stood there, fumes from the diesel choking the air, watching his woods vanish. Gloria thought she could redraw history with a fancy stamp. Oh, the irony, preaching respect for boundaries in every HOA newsletter while bulldozing his. He marched back home, resolve hardening. Whispers had painted him as the neighborhood crank. Now they'd see what a crank could do when pushed. The retaliation was swift and petty, Gloria's specialty. The next day, a certified letter arrived, crisp as her starched collars. $150 fine for overgrown foliage encroaching on community aesthetics. Jack chuckled darkly, crumpling it. His foliage was ancient oaks, not some rebel dandelion. Community aesthetics? More like your ego trip, he grumbled to Max, who thumped his tail obliviously. 2 days later, another envelope, $300 for non-conforming exterior paint. His faded blue siding, unchanged for decades, apparently violated the harmonious palette Gloria had decreed. Harmonious? Your house looks like a rejected wedding cake, Jack sneered, tossing it in the fire pit. But Gloria didn't stop at paper cuts. The construction ramped up to torture levels, dawn till dusk, then floodlights till midnight, the whine of saws piercing his walls like a bad dentist. Sleep? Forget it. Jack's eyes burned from exhaustion, but he observed, noting every overreach. Then came the real gut punch. His water sputtered dry. Outside, his line was severed, tagged with an orange slip, unauthorized tap. Contact HOA for approval. Unauthorized? His family had drilled that well before Gloria's parents met. He spent hours in the mud, wrench in hand, fixing it while cursing under his breath. Victory tastes like rust, he quipped to himself, gulping from the tap that night. Isolation hit next. A flimsy chain-link fence sprouted overnight, slicing off a chunk of his yard, festooned with signs, Whispering Pines property, no trespassing. Violators prosecuted. Neighbors averted eyes now, scared of Gloria's wrath. Don't want to get on her bad side, one muttered at the store, avoiding Jack's gaze. He was the pariah, labeled the troublemaker in hushed tones. Through it all, Max was his rock, gray-muzzled, loyal, unbothered by politics. That's when Gloria crossed the uncrossable line. Jack returned from town to find Max convulsing on the porch, foam at his mouth. Panic surged as he bundled the dog into his truck, racing to the vet. Dr. Ramirez, a no-nonsense pro, ran tests and emerged grim-faced. Antifreeze poisoning, Jack. Sweet taste lures them in. Looks deliberate, mixed in ground beef by your drive. Jack's world tilted. He found the half-eaten bait, bagged it like evidence. Max survived, barely, racking up bills that'd make a banker weep. As Jack stroked his recovering pup, fury crystallized into ice-cold strategy. You messed with the wrong family, Gloria, he whispered. This wasn't about land anymore. It was personal. The whispers called him unhinged? Fine. He'd show them calculated. Hot anger burns out. Cold rage simmers eternal. Jack didn't storm HOA meetings or shout online. No. He plotted like the engineer he'd been in the Army dissecting systems, finding weak points. First call, to Lena Torres, a shark of a lawyer recommended by an old vet buddy. Lena's office was a no-frills bunker of files and coffee stains, her demeanor laser-sharp. She absorbed Jack's tale, the encroachment, fines, sabotage, Max's poisoning without a blink. Jack, you're up against a mini-dictator. Storming her castle? Suicide. Hit the supply lines instead, the money. HOAs like hers thrive on dues and loans. Crack that, and she crumbles. Lightning insight. Gloria's power wasn't just bluster. It was fiscal smoke and mirrors. That night, Jack hit the county archives, hauling home stacks of HOA docs, budgets, minutes, contracts. His kitchen became command central, spreadsheets glowing under a bare bulb. He traced funds like veins in a body, spotting the anomaly, a whopping $2 million loan from obscure Willowbrook capital. Predatory rates, vague amenity upgrades, but the math? Laughable. Payments outstripped dues. They were bankrupt on paper. Willowbrook? Shell company. Reeks of shady, Jack told Lena. She grinned wolfishly. Bingo. But prove the rot. Enter Marco Diaz, ex-cop PI with a beer gut and bulldog tenacity. Marco dug up the loan docs, slamming a folder down. Jackpot. The approval resolution needed majority homeowner signatures. Cross-checking rosters, forged names galore, dead folks, ex-residents, even a guy who'd sued Gloria years back. 30 fakes. Easy. This is Fraud City, wire, conspiracy, the works. The room buzzed. Gloria hadn't just nibbled boundaries. She'd built her empire on felony quicksand. Jack smears as the crazy loner? Ironic. Coming from a forger queen. Evidence in hand. They could have gone straight to the DA. But Jack wanted poetic justice, Gloria's downfall on her stage. Lena formed Ridgeview Investments, Jack's shadow firm. Marco unearthed Willowbrook's dirt, probes in 3 states for loan sharking. Vulnerable as glass. Lena called as Ridgeview's rep. We buy distressed debts. Your Whispering Pines loan? High risk. Cash offer. 70 cents on the dollar. No strings. They haggled, sweated, but Lena's hints at their scandals sealed it. In a bland conference room, Jack signed, portfolio in hand, the debt that fueled Gloria's folly now his. You're the bank now, Lena said, eyes twinkling. Jack nodded, picturing Gloria's smug face shattering. He bided time, letting Gloria bask. The oasis finished. Azure pool. Palm trees clashing with Virginia pines. Absurd as her rules. Invites arrived for the gala. Jazz. Caviar. Gloria toasting her vision. Perfect trap. Jack dressed down. Jeans. Boots. Faded army ink peeking. Met Lena, suited assassin, and Marco rumpled glee, nearby. Showtime. The party glittered. Perfume cloying. Laughter forced. Gloria held court poolside, arm around a sycophant, radiating triumph. She spotted Jack, smirked dismissively. Even the hermit graces us? How quaint. He lurked in shadows. At sunset, Gloria mic'd up, Dear neighbors, this oasis symbolizes our unity, rising above detractors who cling to outdated ways. Subtle dig at Jack. Applause peaked. Then Lena's voice sliced, MS. Kensington, flanked by Marco and deputies. Arrest warrant. Fraud. Forgery. Gasped. Gloria blanched. This is outrageous. A private event. No misunderstanding. Jack stepped forward. Marco played the tape, Gloria's voice bragging. The survey's fudged, but who's checking? Power move. Silence. Process server handed foreclosure notice. Gloria hysterical. You can't. The lender. They sold it, Jack said coolly. To me. This all? Mine now. Her face crumpled. Forensic hit. Commingled funds. Her mansion collateral. Cuffs clicked. She sagged. Led away past horrified guests. Empire evaporated in champagne fizz. The fallout? Gloria pled guilty. 5 years federal time. HOA imploded. Debts to Jack. Neighbors apologized sheepishly. He nodded, no grudges for pawns. Jack claimed her mansion. Gutted the ostentation. Warmed it up. Renamed Sentinel Haven. Free retreat for scarred vets. Silence respected. The pool? Filled with soil. Sapling planted center, roots reclaiming. Now, porch sitting with Max. Woods whispering. Jack savored peace rebuilt on ruins. Gloria's trat to tyranny? Buried under her own absurdity. But tell me, was Jack the villain for playing her game? Or the hero for exposing the rot? Who's really the crazy one in a world where rules mask greed?